Hey everybody, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, that website address for you is theclinicaltrialsguru.com. One of my most favorite things is answering your questions. So if you have them, send them to dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I will keep you anonymous. Today I'm answering a question regarding research clinics and their contracts and budgets and whether they can amend them. And let me read you the question first and then I can answer it. I think it's a very good question. It says, "Hi Dan, I have a new question for you. I came onto a study after it had already began. This particular study has been very hard on the sponsor in terms of meeting their enrollment numbers. Our site, however, is doing wonderful. We are on the verge of meeting our contracted number of patients, and I'm sure they will want us to renegotiate to bring on more patients. Again, I came on this study late, and I've discovered that our original contract was very bad. Amongst the things that should have been addressed initially, our site was not provided any startup payment. Would it be acceptable upon renegotiation to request a startup payment along with adjustments to some of the line items?" Okay, so the answer to this is yes. You are in a very, very good position. I've been in this position on studies in the past, several studies in the past. You never want to see other sites struggle because the entire study might be jeopardized. The sponsor, if too many sites are struggling, the sponsor might just close the study because it's not working. But it looks like you're in a study where it's just very hard to enroll people, but your site is having no issues doing that, probably because of your patient population, whatever it may be. You are in an excellent position for a research clinic, and on top of that, when it comes time to renegotiate, you can tell them that you're in charge of renegotiating the contract, and since you're new and you weren't there the first time around, you've noticed that there was no startup payment, and the budget is very low compared to your standards and your site standards. So you can kind of blame it on the original person who negotiated your contract, and you can kind of let them know that, look, I know better. I know what's up here. Let's do this the right way. So if you were contracted for 10 patients, I have no idea how many you were, but let's just use 10 as an example. You want to ask for 10 more patients when it's time to amend the contract. You want to ask them to enroll 10 more subjects, or whatever your number was, just keep it the same for your amendment. So if it was 15, amend it for another 15. They'll do it, especially with the information I'm getting from you that you've been doing well and you're enrolling subjects. I would increase all the line items by 2 or 3. I would actually consider a factor of 3. And then let them negotiate down from there, because they are now in need of you. You've proven yourself, and I would not be afraid to just take the original budget and say, look, the person who negotiated this originally either didn't know what they were doing, or they were overwhelmed at the time and didn't have time to focus on this. But I do know what I'm doing, and this is what we normally request for a study like this, and just multiply every line item by 3 and let them negotiate down. And if they do, let them negotiate down to 2 or 2.5. Don't accept anything less. And as far as the initial payment, you want to do that. You want to tell them, look, I want a startup payment, and I want it retroactive from when we started, and then when we amend the contract, I want another startup payment. And then just tell them it's to train new staff, you being one of them. If you have new raters, if you have personnel that are going to help with recruitment, do that. It's definitely acceptable, especially when you're doing well. I would say it's not acceptable when you're not doing well, but you are doing great, and they need you. The sponsor needs you in this case, like pretty badly. So don't be afraid to do that, like now. Don't wait till you meet your contracted amount. Like if you're contracted for 10 and you have 8, amend it now. And you can also try to retroactively amend it. Say, look, this is what the new budget should be, and I'd like this to go retroactive like 6 months ago. Maybe not from the very beginning of the study, but at least halfway through, so you can get some of those visits that you have already completed paid for retroactively. Try it. It very well might work. And check out my other videos on contracts and budgets and see if you can find any other fees that you can get that way, because you are doing well and your site should be rewarded for it. And at the end of the day, it is a business. Thank you for your questions. Keep them coming. Shout out to my clinical trial guru producers. It's Sarah Elizabeth Siegler, Resolve Research Solutions, Accurate Clinical Trials, Erdhart Clinical Trials, PTNR, Patrick Stone, Darshan Kulkarni, Biopharm Systems, Zymewire, Mozio, South Coast Clinical Trials, Breakthrough Clinical Trials, and St. Paul Medical Research Center in Miami, Florida. Thank you all very much, and keep the questions coming. Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Bye-bye.